Welcome back to our special coverage of the big cabinet reset. We're decoding what the changes mean now. Jaggi, let's talk about Ravi Shankar Prasad. Now, he famously said he doesn't want to be known as the call-drop minister. Now, Ravi Shankar Prasad gets law and justice. He takes that over from Sadanand Gowda. But he's also left with IT, electronics and information technology. But Manoj Sinha takes charge as the telecom minister. Do you think that to some extent the call-drop controversy may have cost Ravi Shankar Prasad the telecom portfolio?
Yes, I think the telecom sector is one of the golden geese of the government in terms of revenues. And when you're having a spectrum auction almost every year or every other year, then I think you need to have good equation with the industry. And I mean, when you're plucking feathers from a goose, I think you need to do it gently so that you don't get into trouble and they are able to give you more revenues. So I think it was a needless controversy. I think there are problems relating to the number of towers you can set up and permissions and other things. There are a lot of reasons for call drops, and it is not just about some huge underinvestment alone, especially in a time when they are stretched. So I think it was good. But more important, on the positive side, you also have to note that Gowda was not very effective at the law ministry. I mean, he's a nice guy, but I think the government has serious problems with the judiciary and is trying to get some kind of a say in senior judicial appointments. So for that, you need a heavyweight minister. So I think Prasad was also needed in the law ministry to actually, because we are at a crucial stage in negotiations with the judiciary on the memorandum of procedure for appointing judges.
Yeah.
So I think probably Gowda was not that effective. So there is a positive side to the move. The negative side is that I think they don't want to get the government in an antagonistic position with industry when you're trying to offer a whole lot of spectrum in the next round.
And I agree with you, Jaggi. I think here the story, the positives outweigh the negatives in this allocation. Venu, would you agree with that? You know, there was this unnecessarily confrontational approach being taken with industry, but actually moving Ravi Shankar Prasad to the law ministry at a time where the government very clearly seems to be articulating its displeasure or its discomfort with the judiciary encroaching into the territory of the executive. To have a specialist law minister makes much more sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Jaggi just said. And remember, Shireen, Ravi Shankar Prasad originally, when the cabinet was formed, was expecting to become law minister. If you ask me, that would have been his first choice in 2014 June when this government came to power. Although he was made telecom minister, which is an important portfolio in the infrastructure space, so he went along with it. But he wouldn't be unhappy. In fact, I think he would be happier being in the law ministry, especially because, as Jaggi said, this government has to really improve his relationship with the judiciary and really sit across. As law minister, his job is to actually lower the temperature and create a kind of cordial environment vis-a-vis the judiciary. And Ravi Shankar Prasad would love to do that job at this time. And also, Shireen, don't forget, as law minister, he would have far greater access to both Prime Minister and the party chief, because both are watching the relationship of the government with judiciary very closely.
You're absolutely right on that. So let me very quickly get Prakash Gaba to comment on this. Prakash, Ravi Shankar Prasad moving out of telecom, you've got a big spectrum. Prakash Diwan, you've got a big spectrum auction. In fact, the largest spectrum auction that this country has seen, which could happen around the month of August or September. How do you see the markets reacting to this?
No, I think it does pave the way for a much more smoother transition to the new commercial, auctioning of spectrum. And remember one thing that, the way the spectrum auction turns out, it's going to be the incumbents are going to definitely be, looking at further capex beyond this only on the basis of the kind of money they spend out for acquiring new spectrum and the kind of status of the 4G rollout from some of the largest players in the business. So it is a critical merchandise that the government is selling, and very clearly, it needs to go through in the timely manner for the fiscal deficit to be under control. So I think this does pave the way for a much more smoother transaction to finally go through in terms of the spectrum auction, and that would be read positively as a positive read through for the telecom companies and the sector as a whole.
Okay, more corporate reaction. Siddharth Birla, the former president of FICCI, joins us. Mr. Birla, appreciate you joining us. What do you make of the changes? Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw just said the move of Jayant Sinha out of the finance minister is a Himalayan blunder. Would you agree with that? And your takeaways from the changes that have been made?
Well, Shireen, the way I've been looking at it is, I'm trying to remove the personalities from the overall job at hand, right? And I would think that, the economy has to be driven on a much broader plane than just manufacturing and fresh investments coming in. This is what we were talking about in the, for the last year, why are not investments coming in? But if you look, for example, in textiles, or if you look at the service sector, if you look at the way the airline industry is growing. So I think there is a role for expansion of so many other industries and areas, and at the end of the day, I imagine we would leave the judgment up to the Prime Minister as to who can do what best, because it's always possible for me to sit and for us to comment why this one went and why that one went. I am actually not looking at it that way. I'm looking at it that, okay, this is the developmental agenda that the government has, and it's a much broader developmental agenda than what we have been talking about in the last, say, year or so.
Do the changes give you comfort, or do they leave you disappointed?
No, I think okay, one had got used to seeing Jayant.
Or do they not change a thing?
Sorry?
Or do they not eventually change a thing for you?
No, I think it's the spirit that seems to have gone behind these changes is positive. I don't think any of the changes have come without a lot of thinking, and I don't see any negativity in the changes. So I would imagine that okay. I'm more encouraged going forward.
Okay, you believe that you're more encouraged going forward. Siddharth Birla, thanks very much for joining us with your quick reaction there. Shankar Iyer, let me talk to you about this big development agenda that the Prime Minister has also talked about, and the BJP spokesperson Zafar Islam has also been stating that all of this is an effort to prioritize and to take forward the government's development agenda. If that were to be the case, then would you be disappointed with what has happened as far as the agriculture portfolio is concerned? Because it clearly has been an underperforming ministry by all accounts. Radha Mohan Singh continues there as the Minister of Agriculture. There's been a change at the Minister of State level, but do you think perhaps you would have liked to see a bolder change as far as the Agri Ministry is concerned?
Well, Shireen, let's not run away from the fact that agriculture is literally, virtually on the land managed by state governments. The central government, the center is conceptually a myth here. I mean, how much the center can do in agriculture is very limited. What it can do is evangelize, do a bit of evangelism as it is trying to do. Now, couple of things that are happening. One is the national e-agriculture market that's being set up, which I have been sort of writing about and campaigning for, which is Amul 2, the national grid for perishables. And that's happening. Now, that requires all the state governments to come on board. It requires an amount of technology, and it requires some amount of championship that is needed. And in that sense, Radha Mohan Singh has been less than successful. I guess the issue now is in the court of Niti Aayog, and I believe that there is a separate team there which is working on it. So I would not be too het up on whether the agriculture minister has been changed or not. I believe that the agriculture minister is knowledgeable. Perhaps he's not aggressive or assertive enough. That seems to be the case. On the overall agenda, I think there are pieces in this puzzle which are interesting, but at the end of the day, this is a Modi Sarkar, and he is dictating the agenda, he's designing the budget, he's doing most of the front seat, back seat driving on a lot of the campaign programs. So every program that has been launched is launched by him. You would also notice that all the new ministers who you are talking to, there is one bite that is constant, and that is Modi ji ne kaha hai ki we have to work 24/7. Now this is the message that being drilled, and that they have to take directions and get the bureaucracy to work. The central issue is that there is a limitation of talent in the party, and Mr. Modi is trying to work around that.
Yes. Let me get Zafar Islam to comment. Zafar, if I were to run our viewers through some of the key messages that I'm picking up from our panel here, the one message that is clearly coming through is that this is a Modi Sarkar. The Prime Minister continues to call the shots. The heavy lifting will be done by the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office. Key policy decisions will be decided and finalized there, and so be it. There's nothing wrong with that if you do want to have a centralized structure. The other message that I'm picking up is that perhaps somewhere through this exercise, the Prime Minister is sending out a message that, stay under the radar, stay low-key, maybe engage only when it is necessary. The rules of engagement should be very, very clear. Is there a message there that is being sent out to ministers on the outreach, how they engage, and whether there's going to be a change in the rules of engagement?
I think there is no merit in that, what you have just stated, Shireen, because I don't think that those are the messages have been communicated to any of the Council of Ministers. Yes, but what message is very clear that the developmental agenda should be carried forward, and the beneficiary should be the rural mass, the rural population, as well as the beneficiary of the people of India. That is the message which has been given very, very clearly, that the government's agenda should be executed in time and in the manner that it should benefit the people of India and particularly the poor population of this country. And also earlier you were discussing about Mr. Ravi, Shankar Prasad as well as Manoj Sinha. I must tell you that the place to their strength, being a lawyer, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad can play a very articulate role and very productive role as a law minister, and Mr. Manoj Sinha being a technocrat, he can also discharge his responsibility very efficiently. So you must give credit to Honorable Prime Minister that he has chosen his Council of Ministers and redistributed portfolio based on their strength and the objective he has defined, and those people who can execute those objectives in a very efficient manner.
One of the other changes that people will, or investors will look at, is the move in the Steel Ministry, where Narendra Singh Tomar has now taken over as the Rural Development and Panchayati Raj Minister, and Birender Singh Chaudhary has moved to the Steel Ministry. And Jaggi, let me ask you this, because a large part of the NPA problem is on account of what's happened with the steel sector. This has been a sector that the government has been focusing its attention on. We've seen developments like the minimum import price. There has to be now a decision on a possible extension of the MIP. Would this really be the right time to bring in someone like Chaudhary Birender Singh? And let's be clear, he hasn't delivered in the Rural Development Ministry. Or should we be sanguine because anyway the steel sector and the schemes were being looked at in consultation with the Finance Ministry and the Prime Minister's office?
There's no doubt that the steel ministry, the steel industry, the world over and in India is hurting because of the post-2008 meltdown. So in this kind of a context, I think bringing in a new minister who probably has not even a nodding acquaintance with steel does not make much sense. Possibly there is one thing that could think that does steel need a ministry? Maybe it should have been merged along with commerce and industry. It doesn't make sense to have a steel ministry as separate, but it's not each industry cannot necessarily have such a separate ministry. Maybe that's the thinking behind it, but there was no need to do this change because I think Birender Singh hasn't really done wonders where he was earlier. So whether he will do anything for steel is not clear. Maybe it's a message to him.
Okay, Prakash, how will this be read by the markets? Because the steel sector has been seeing at least signs of a revival at this point in time. Will a change in the minister make a difference as far as the market sentiment goes?
I think it would be taken as a neutral development, Shireen. But given the fact that the changes that we are now seeing or this industry is lobbying for or expecting would probably be more in the realm of the bureaucracy, and that's where we've seen some very active work happening. We've seen the secretary level discussions with the industrialists have been very productive, and decision making has been pretty rapid in terms of not only at the policy level but also the implementation. So My sense is that wouldn't really change much, but it would only probably mean that the steel industry is probably not to expect too much of benefits, because it's not been given a heavyweight minister or a name that would kind of lend too much of credence. So my sense is you would have to read it from that perspective, saying yes, whatever we had to do has been done, and it would now probably be left to the industry and to the executive to kind of carry things forward from the policy perspective.
Venu, I want to get you to comment, and both Shankar and you to comment on MJ Akbar coming in as Minister of State for External Affairs. You're now going to be faced with the situation of having General VK Singh and MJ Akbar both as Ministers of State in the External Affairs Ministry. Venu, let me start by asking you what you make of this change.
Well, MJ Akbar, it was expected that MJ Akbar would get something, because he once he got Rajya Sabha membership. But I must say, Shirin, here that MJ Akbar has had a very checkered political career. He was very close to Rajiv Gandhi. Then after the 2002 Gujarat riots, he in fact wrote scathing articles against Modi, and one of them he argued that Modi should get Pakistan should give him Nishane-Pakistan, the highest honor, for having created this polarized environment in India. But he's come a long way from there, and he obviously wants to, he's being used now as MOS External Affairs. He has some familiarity with West Asia, so he being a Muslim, I think he might be used as some sort of an ambassador in Mr. Modi's outreach program in West Asia. As you know, Mr. Modi has visited many West Asian countries, Saudi Arab, UAE, from where massive investment promises were also made. So I think MJ Akbar could fill in on that. But see, one larger point I want to make, which we have not spoken about, on Jayant Sinha, the reason why Jayant Sinha has been moved should also be seen from the perspective of people who have replaced him. Now, I have a feeling that Gangwar, who belongs to UP, and it's a clear signaling for UP politics, because he comes from a community, Kurmi, which backed Mr. Modi and BJP in 2014 elections, and as against the Yadavs who are with Mulayam Singh Yadav's party. The Kurmis are with BJP, and they hope to consolidate the Kurmis and Dalits. So in a sense, a political messaging has begun. I think this government is moving away from technocrats to having real solid political players in these key ministries. Also a form of signaling that, well, the government is pro-business in terms of reforms, but that's not necessarily the signal that it would want to send, considering that you have UP elections next year and subsequently Rajasthan, etc. in the year after. So I think in a sense, we are moving to a political phase now.
Okay, Shankar, I want you to comment on that, and that's the political narrative as far as these changes are concerned, clearly with an eye on the upcoming state elections, whether it's Uttar Pradesh or Uttarakhand. But do you believe that the bets that have been made by enhancing representation of members from these states, is this likely to result in electoral gains?
I think primarily this is an exercise about efficiency, about doers, non-doers. The political messaging is incidental. I mean, there are 13 ministers representing Uttar Pradesh. How much more messaging can you do in a state where, at the end of the day, you still don't know which caste is going which way. So I'm not going to overemphasize that story. And Meghwal coming in now is more about his experience as a bureaucrat in dealing with state governments to get the GST through than anything else. I think Santosh Gangwar's shifting is merely assuaging him for the loss of one place to the another place. I think these messaging stories, I mean, everybody said this is going to be a UP reshuffle. It's more, very little of that and much more substantive than an up or UP reshuffle. So I think the messaging story has a limited point to make. I don't think Gangwar being posted, say, in Commerce Ministry would have been less a message, or in SME Ministry would have been less a message. I don't think the voter is looking beyond the red light on top of the car. But the the point that one must note is that there has been some very interesting changes. Manoj Sinha coming in communications, who's a technocrat, who's IIT BHU guy, may probably bring in some solution orientation to the problem of call drops. Ravi Shankar Prasad incidentally was first the law minister and telecom minister. The law department was taken away from him. In that sense, this is the second time Sadanand Gowda has been divested of some portfolio, first railways and now law. So there are issues, again and again we're coming back to how we manage the political alignment and the efficiency alignment. And that is apparent in this exercise also. The story about steel, I mean, steel got decontrolled in 1993. For God's sake, there is no reason for the ministry to exist. And most of the packaging, whatever is to happen about the state of the steel industry, is being done in South Block and is being done in consonance with the WTO arrangements. I mean, there is a limit to which they can do whatever they're doing. So
you're right.
So those are the issues that don't necessarily come into the reshuffle picture.
Sure. Jackie, we haven't talked about a man. There was a lot of speculation on his possible elevation as well. But let's spend the last few minutes of this show talking about Piyush Goyal, because now he gets coal power, renewable energy and mines. So the mines portfolio has now also been given to Piyush Goyal. So clearly the Prime Minister rewarding Piyush Goyal for the work that he's done across the 3 ministries that he already has.
Yeah, you see, I think a subtle message coming through in this change is that PM is keen on extending responsibilities for those who deliver. He's not necessarily interested in promoting or demoting them. I think the only promotion, if you actually see, is that of Javadekar. And that happened, I think, not because he did well in MOEF, but because I think HRD has always been a cabinet post. That is why I think it got this thing. But on the other hand, there are 2 cabinet posts that normally are not kept at the cabinet level. Like you have statistics for the first time as a cabinet minister and not a MOS or a deputy minister. So I think the PM has not sent the message that I'm going to promote and all that. He said, if you do well, I'll give you more responsibilities, which is why Sinha has he keeps railways and he gets telecom. Piyush Goyal gets mines in addition to things. I think this is the consistent message that's coming through. That you're fit for work, you'll get more good work and do better. I think it's not about promotion or demotion at all.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Venu, a very quick word on Anil Dave, who replaces Prakash Javadekar at the Environment Ministry. Once again, at least for most people that I've spoken to in most accounts, this has been given a thumbs up.
Yeah, that's because Anil Dave, Shireen, is widely recognized as a man who's done a lot of work in water conservation. And he is very familiar with the environmental issues. So, and he's also supposed to have been close to the Sangh Parivar. So, I think he's been brought in for this special skill that he has. And given his background, I think he could hit the ground running in the Environment Ministry because he's familiar with most of the issues. So in that sense, the transition could be smooth there.
Well, you're right on that front. And Zafar Islam, let me end by asking you, is it now a done deal till 2019? Should we expect any further changes? We've spent the last 6 months speculating on this change. Now that this is done, what should we expect on the road ahead?
Well, I don't know whether there will be another expansion or not because it's a Prime Minister prerogative, but it's a constant process in any government. If you see that these are exercise which is being done on a regular basis, on a periodic basis. So you may see another round, or you may not see. That's, of course, it's all at the discretion of the Honourable Prime Minister. But having said that this is a wonderful exercise being done, and I think it's a very positive message for the market and for the country as a whole, and I expect that the market should be very receptive to these positive changes and show a very positive change in tomorrow's when it opens.
Well, we will see how the markets react to this, but thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on the CNBC TV 18 special. Zafar Islam, M.K. Venu, R. Jagannathan, Prakash Diwan, Shankar Iyer, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Siddharth Birla. We appreciate you joining us here and decoding the implications, both from a policy perspective as well as a political perspective, of the cabinet reset that's taken place overnight. From all of us here for now, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.